Krill be under your names, friends. As always, it's a privilege to come into your homes today, and if you're ever here in Gulf City, please stop by the church and join one of our Aleazimology services. We can share the whale's great wisdom with you. Say it with me now. I do not fear my death. I will evolve into a ghost. Death is not the end, it is only the beginning. I will reach for entanglement, I will hear the whale's wisdom, and I will step forward into a better existence. All hail blue whale, Krill be unto his name. I want to talk to you today about how you haven't been defeated yet. We all have things that we want and that we hope that the whale will provide for us. We start off okay, just sailing along, but then the sea gets choppy. A storm brews on the horizon. A new challenger appears. We lose that job. We lose that loved one. We lose that limb. It's easy to get discouraged and think it's never going to happen for us. But the whale didn't say most, and he didn't say probably. He said all human lives must be entangled. And what Alhut Aleazim starts, he finishes. You may not see the way, but the whale doesn't run out of options. He alters the ebb and flow of humanity in ways we've never even imagined. Alhut Aleazim would not have allowed there to be such a storm on your ocean today if it was going to keep you from becoming entangled. You haven't been defeated yet. If you were going to be stopped, you would have been stopped already. If somebody was going to shut the word of Aleazimology down, they would have done it already. And if that knucklehead that was always flapping his gums about you was going to try, he would have already tried. We may not like the constant battening down of the hatches, but it's all part of the process. We will all have to wait on our own personal tidal waves, but the good news is, Alhut Aleazim is in control of the current. He is in control of the things that push you back when you try to reach forward. With merely a flip of his fin, instead of holding you back, those waves can become prosperity that pushes you forward. Those same waves that battered your starboard side can be turned around and used to your advantage. You may be in front of a situation that seems impossible, but Alhut Aleazim makes the impossible possible. There may be voices around you saying, there's no way for you to turn it around, that you should just give up on everything. But Alhut Aleazim is saying, you haven't been defeated yet. He is still on the bottom of the ocean. He is still radiating that knowledge. He is still setting the path to entanglement in front of you. You haven't been defeated yet. You can still get that new job. You can still speak to that loved one in the afterlife. You can still regrow that finger you lost in the sawmill accident all those years ago. You can still accomplish your dreams. You may be lost on the high seas, but you haven't been defeated yet. Do we keep our faith in Alhut Aleazim when life seems impossible? Yes, we do. Do we keep our faith in Alhut Aleazim when the afterlife seems improbable? Yes, we do. Do we keep our faith in Alhut Aleazim when we realize that we're getting more sensible religion from a cartoon ghost than we've ever gotten from a televangelist? Oh, yes, we do. All hail blue whale, Krill be unto his name. The scripture tells us of a man who would not be defeated until he reached entanglement. In 332 BC, a man named Alexander conquered an Egypt that was riddled with the trappings of the alt-right and was bursting at the seams with privatized prisons. Toward the end of his conquest of Cairo, Alexander met a ghost named Amenemope, that millennium's prophet of the whale. The two quickly became friends over their shared love for logistics-based strategies and reruns of Seinfeld. Amenemope shared with Alexander the ways of Aleazimology, and Alexander's tide began to rise as he took the words of the whale into his heart. Alexander told Amenemope that his plan was to conquer all of the Persian Empire, but that he was exhausted from the heat in Egypt and didn't know if he would be able to make it. He knew he was pretty great, but he was unsure of himself. He didn't realize yet that the fin of the whale was behind him, that he had the power to go out and seek that glory. But Amenemope told him that not only could he continue, but that he could continue to win. Alexander had not been defeated yet. Alexander planned his strategy, and after he and his troops were well rested and supplied, he set out east from Memphis, straight into Persian territory to take on King Darius and claim Persia for himself. This man would not accept defeat. The Macedonian army marched toward Babylon through most of 331 BC, and as they traveled down the Euphrates River, Darius got so scared that he decided to try and employ a scorched earth technique to slow Alexander's advances. He had his men burn the prosperous towns along the river, hoping to see the Macedonians weakened before their inevitable conflict. As Alexander languished in his camp, unsure of whether or not he could continue to victory, Amenemope reminded him that the great and powerful Alhut Aleazim was always at his back, and that he had not yet been defeated. So Alexander tells his boys to pack it up and head north to the Tigris. The Macedonian army takes a quick hop across Mesopotamia to reach the Tigris River, and Darius is left unprepared for what was coming to him and his giant army of Persian soldiers. Darius didn't know what to do, and because he had not accepted the power of the whale, he had no knowledge of how to go out and seek his glory against Alexander the Great. So Darius and company pull off the freeway at Gaugamela to get gas and come up with a plan. But on October 1st, 331 BC, Alexander of Macedonia would not be denied. He and the whole crew pulled up in Gaugamela in a fleet of Oldsmobile Cutlass Supremes, and just when Darius thought he had the local fields on lock, Alex and the boys came down the hill, filled with the spirit of the whale, and slaughtered the whole gang during the climax of their Persian conquest. Alexander knew he had not been defeated, and he found victory with the power of the whale. You see, Alexander stayed adaptable when that storm was coming in. He saw Darius's men burning the villages in front of them. He heard the comical banter of his men turn to dark musings on the efficacy of genocide. But he knew he had not been defeated. He knew the fin of the whale was at his back and his tide was high. He spread that word of Alhut Aleazim all along the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, bringing those waves of prosperity to all of their flaming huts and worldly possessions. Things aren't always what they seem. You may see war, famine, and disease in front of you, but you have to weather that storm and keep faith in the whale. You can't be kept down by what you see. You have to keep faith in what you know. Don't let the winds and rains distract you from your heading. Don't forget that what the whale has waiting for you in the afterlife is worth sailing for. Alexander's problems didn't stop in Gaugamela, but he knew that he was on the path to entanglement, and he would not let that storm defeat him. After forcing King Darius to retreat from the plains, the Macedonian army marched into the Zagros Mountains. In 330 BC, when Alexander tried to cross a mountain pass called the Persian Gate, one of King Darius's right-hand guys, Ariobarzanes, laid a clever trap for his army, blocking the path with stone after a sharp turn, then descending from the flanking hills to attempt to take out Alexander the Great once and for all. But Alexander had the power of the whale with him, and when Amenemope gave the word that the pinch was coming down, Alexander pulled the Macedonian army back to the valley to try to find a way to organize an attack against the hopeless predicament they had accidentally been drawn into. Alexander had not been defeated. At camp, he and Amenemope discussed strategy, and they were approached by a humble shepherd of the Zagros Mountains. The shepherd revealed that he too was a practitioner of Aleazimology, and that the whale's wisdom had touched him when Darius first took power. He said he would guide Alexander and Amenemope through the mountains and use a secret northeastern pass to surprise the Persians the next morning. Alexander's men were skeptical of this plan, and many were frightened, but he assured them that with the height of their tide, they would be able to use the power of the whale to seek glory in the face of Persian oppression, and that they would be victorious in spreading the ways of Aleazimology. The Macedonian army would not be defeated. The next morning, the soldiers journeyed back up the pass toward the Persian Gate, and just as Ariobarzanes and his man attacked Alexander's detachment, the king himself, aided by Amenemope and a small contingent of elite fighters, stormed down from the northern pass to create a pincer situation for Ariobarzanes, trapping the Persians within their own trap. Alexander was filled with the spirit of the whale, and he yelled out to his men above the din of the battle, "Krill, be unto your names. We will not be defeated." Their victory in the Persian Gate was an aversion of almost certain catastrophe. But Alexander kept his faith, and he weathered that storm. The words you speak while you weather the storm will have great impact on whether or not you will reach victory, whether or not you will stay where you are or get to where you want to go. When you have a defeated mindset, you will be defeated. But when you know that you haven't been defeated yet, you will rise to victory. When you don't see a way out, remember the fin of the whale is at your back. Keep marching into that storm. Keep marching into those mountains. You have not been defeated yet. Nothing can hold you back from your destiny. The whale has a plan for each and every one of you. In 326 BC, when Alexander had conquered pretty much everything, he and the Macedonian army made camp near the Hephaestus River in India to decide what to do next. That day, Amenemope pulled Alexander aside and told him that he was not long for this life. Alexander was shocked at first and exclaimed that he had done everything based on the teachings of the whale and that he had spread the word throughout Africa and Asia. Why did he have to go so soon? He was facing a storm he didn't know how to deal with, and his faith wavered. But Amenemope told him there was nothing to worry about, that he had lived a life in line with Aleazimology, and that death was only the beginning. Alexander hailed the whale with Amenemope and stayed faithful, knowing that his tide was high enough to carry him wherever he needed to go. He knew that he had not yet been defeated. Amenemope told him to take this time of sunset to survey his life's work from his home and prepare for the imminent afterlife. So they and the Macedonian army set up a citadel of Aleazimology in the Malian capital of Multan and traveled back across Persia until June 323 BC, when he and his men reached Babylon. When Alexander reached his new capital, he drank and he feasted as he prepared to be remade by the whale in that translucent white glory. He had lived a life of entanglement. He had used the power of the whale to go out and seek a glory fit for Alhut Aleazim. And on the 11th of June, assisted by Amenemope and Aristotle, one of Amenemope's longtime friends, Alexander the Great died in Babylon and returned to the great and powerful Alhut Aleazim. He was never defeated. Alexander had a calling from the whale. No storm could stop that calling. No matter how much was put in front of Alexander, he knew he had not yet been defeated. He held on to his faith in Alhut Aleazim, and look what he was able to achieve. And believe me when I tell you, if it couldn't stop him, it can't stop you either. Alhut Aleazim has you in the crook of his fin, and his waves of prosperity will lead you to a conquest over your own life that will take you to places you never even thought possible. The whale has a calling for you too, just like Alexander of Macedonia. You haven't been defeated yet. Be like Alexander. Take those teachings into your heart and go out there and get to work. You have a conquest to undertake. You have not been defeated yet. You have an afterlifetime's worth of power and glory to discover. That's why the storm seems so bad. It's a sign that you're getting closer to entanglement. The enemy would not sin so much if he didn't know you were almost there. King Darius would not have burned his own villages to stop Alexander if he didn't know that Alexander was on his way to bringing a greater glory to Alhut Aleazim. When you believe in the whale, you will have prosperity you've never seen. When you weather that storm with the teachings of Aleazimology, there is no limit to what you can achieve. Your entanglement is stronger and more enduring than any storm out there. It is stronger than anything anyone can throw at you. You will do better. You will have better. You will be better. You have a calling, friends. Alhut Aleazim is calling you, even when things are at their worst. So listen for that phone ringing, even in the depth of the storm that is your life. Alhut Aleazim is singing your praises. He is singing of your victory. He is singing of your triumph. The song of the whale is a tribute to everything you can accomplish with his knowledge to guide you. Alhut Aleazim is singing, and he's just waiting for you to harmonize with him. He didn't say most, and he didn't say probably. He said all human lives must be entangled. The only thing that can stop his plan for you is if you don't believe in his power. See, our faith is the conduit to that power. It opens our minds so that even in the darkest rain, we can still hear His word, guiding us into the power and glory we can only dream of in the afterlife. Don't let doubt stop you. Don't let that storm talk you out of your destiny. You will become entangled. You will achieve your evolution. You will have prosperity in your lifetime. All hail blue whale, Krill be unto his name. Your life can be so blessed by Aleazimology that it even turns your enemies around. Your rise to translucency is such a blessing that they will see your ascent, and instead of working against you, they may very well end up working for you, just like Darius's generals ended up working for Alexander. Remember that your path to entanglement is meant to inspire others, just like Alexander did for his troops. Be that beacon. Spread that knowledge. Teach them our peaceful ways by force. They can learn. Look at the Persian Empire. And don't worry about the people that won't support you. You can make it without them because you are not alone. You are with Alhut Aleazim. You depend on the whale, not on the living. You haven't been defeated yet. You're going to conquer your destiny without any of their interference. The fin of the whale is all you need to succeed. Take him into your heart and into your mind, and your tide will rise. The whale has a plan for you to have that prosperity, a plan for you to evolve into a ghost instead of being reincarnated. But you must weather that storm. You have to stand against the wind and rain. Stand before a blocked path on a mountain pass. Stand before everything that seeks to hold you back and proclaim that you hail the whale, son, and you have not been defeated yet. You are so much stronger than you think. You are so much more capable than you have ever dreamed. You are so much more charismatic than your track record with women would lead you to believe, because you follow Aleazimology and you have the power of the whale behind you, pushing you forward through those rains, through those floods, through those storms, and into your destiny. Don't worry about the opinions of the living. Concern yourself with the opinions of the whale. And the whale says, you haven't been defeated yet. When things seem at their worst, remember Alexander. He did not allow himself to be defeated. He listened to his prophet. He accepted the power of the whale, and he was never defeated in his path to glory. Imagine what you can do with the power of Aleazimology behind you. The storms are not steering you away from your destiny, they're pushing you toward it. Rush into those rains, rush into those winds, defy the power of that storm and claim what's rightfully yours. Claim that destiny that Alhut Aleazim has laid out for each and every one of us. Alexander made it all the way to entanglement, and you can make it too. You haven't been defeated yet. Thank you for listening today, friends. I want you to remember to believe in your future and believe in Alhut Aleazim, because I believe in all of you. When we practice his teachings, when we push back the storm, we approach a destiny that builds a better tomorrow for all of us. All hail blue whale, Krill be unto his name.